Once upon a time, in an enchanted kingdom, lived a wealthy and influential king. He is so rich that even the birds of the sky sing his praises all day long. There in the middle of the castle existed a very big drum in which the king orders his servants to fill continuously with water. Any servant that is able to fill the drum with water is highly rewarded by the king because he loves drinking water a lot. One day, his servant set out to the stream bearing two large pots in which he intends to fill the king's drum. Each of the pots hung across each end of a pole which he carried across his neck. For so many years the servant labored but was unable to receive the reward from the king. Why? Because he doesn't meet up with the deadline set by the king. Because one of the pots had a crack in it and always leak water whenever he is going back to the castle. And while the other pot was perfect and always delivered a full portion of water at the end of the long walk from the stream. This went on for many years. The servant was only able to deliver 1.5 pots full of water to the king's palace. This made the perfect pot proud and often looked down on the imperfect pot. The perfect pot was so proud of its accomplishment, while the cracked pot was ashamed of its own imperfection and often felt miserable that it was unable to accomplish only half of what it had been made to do. After 2 years, the crackpot saw itself as a bitter failure, that it opened up and spoke to the water bearer. I am ashamed of myself, and I want to apologize to you, and also to ask you why you have not discarded me, because I am as good as nothing. The king's servant, which is the pot bearer, replied,
Why should I be ashamed of you? And why should I discard you? And what are you ashamed of?
asked the king's servant. The pot replied, I have been able to deliver only half of my load for so many years because of this crack in my side, which often caused the water to leak out all the way back to the king's castle. Because of my flaws, you have to do all this work and you don't get rewarded for your efforts. The servant was filled with empathy and felt very sorry for the old crackpot. And in his compassion, he replied,
I want you to observe something on our way back to the king's castle.
As they were walking back, the old crackpot noticed beautiful flowers blooming and dancing to the beautiful sun rays. So happy were the flowers that on a closer leaning, one will hear the beautiful melodies coming out from the flowers. The servant asked the pot,
Did you see these beautiful flowers along the path?
Indeed, the old crackpot took notice of the sun-warming beautiful wild flowers blooming in their season. But the surprising thing were all the flowers existed only on one side of the path which they walked. This cheered the old crackpot up a little bit, but at the end of their walk it still felt bad. As usual, it had leaked out half of its load, and so again it apologized to the bearer for its failure.
While we were coming back from the stream, did you notice that there were only flowers only on your side of your path, but not on the other pot side?
The water bearer asked the old cracked pot.
That's because I have always known about your flaw, and I took advantage of it. I planted flower seeds on your side of the path, And every day while we walk back from the stream, you have watered them for these years. I have been able to pick these flowers, sell it to the king, and make a lot of money from picking them. I have also been able to use these flowers to decorate my master's table, which is the king, and have earned his respect. Without you being just the way you are, all this wouldn't have been possible. He would not have had this beauty to grace his house.
The old water pot was filled with tears of happiness and felt very happy and fulfilled for the first time in its life. The moral of this story is there is beauty in our imperfection only when we observe deeply. We should always see the good in others and be empathetic because each of us has our own unique flaws. We are all crackpots in this world. Nothing is useless. You may think, like the crackpot, that you are inefficient or useless in some certain areas of your life. Sometimes, what we perceive to be our greatest weakness may turn out to be our greatest strength. Just when we learn to observe and to look deeply.